Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. The European Commission has proposed a new round of sanctions against Russia aimed at slowing the Kremlin's ability to finance its invasion of Ukraine. Our correspondent, Alex Cadier, was at the announcement. Good afternoon, Alex. So we just heard from Ursula von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas. What are they proposing?
Well, Claudia, it is this much anticipated, much awaited 18th round of European Union sanctions against Russia. At this stage, it is just a proposal. Of course, it still needs to be signed off by the member states. But let's break down some of the things that are included. We will start with the kind of big ticket items. There will be a total ban in the European Union of the use of the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines. So any gas coming through those pipelines can no longer come into the European Union. There will be a proposal from the European Union to bring the price cap, that is the price at which the European countries are allowed to buy crude oil from Russia, down from $60 a barrel to $45 a barrel. I'll come back on that in a moment. They've also proposed 22 new banks, Russian banks, be added to the sanctions regime so that they are limited in their ability to have any interactions with the SWIFT international banking system, and going to a full ban on all of the Russian banks rather than a partial restriction. So these things will have an impact. We heard from Ursula von der Leyen when she was announcing these sanctions, and let's have a listen to what she said.
For the first time, we propose a transaction ban for Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. This means that no EU operator will be able to engage directly or indirectly in any transaction regarding the Nord Stream pipelines. There is no return to the past. We also propose to lower the oil price cap from $60 to $45 per barrel.
So that was President von der Leyen announcing these sanctions. We also heard from Kaja Kallas, the High Representative, standing next to her, the EU's top diplomat. She said that Russia is cruel, aggressive and a danger to us all, saying that it is clear that Russia does not want peace and needed to pay a price for its outright illegal war. The words of Kaja Kallas there. So clearly there is a desire now, a political will, to strengthen these sanctions, to ramp up these sanctions. But I mentioned that price cap on oil, which was announced with much fanfare back in December 2022. Two issues with that. One, it is in the structure of the G7 countries, so the EU represented and the other G7 countries doing that individually. Von der Leyen was asked, would you do this without the G7? Would the EU put this price cap in place alone? She said, we started this as a G7. I want to continue this as a G7. What does that mean in practice? Donald Trump has to agree. So watch that space. Now, even if they are agreed, the problem with the previous price cap was circumvention. That shadow fleet, these non-registered ships bringing Russian oil around the world, circumventing European sanctions, still allowing the Kremlin to fund its war effort. This is certainly a stronger step than we've seen for a long time from the European Union. Whether or not it will bite in the way they hope, we will have to wait and see.
Thank you so much. That was Alex Cadier reporting live from Brussels, breaking down the 18th EU package of sanctions for us. Thank you so much. Poland's first offshore wind terminal in Świnoujście is now operational, said Janusz Bil, the CEO of Orlen Neptun, a subsidiary of Polish energy giant Orlen. The construction of the terminal is part of Poland's sweeping investment into offshore wind energy, which by 2040 is estimated to make up some 30% of Poland's energy mix. The terminal will allow for the building of the offshore wind farms by both Poland's Orlen, scheduled to finish construction by 2040, or the international firms. One such company is Offshore Winds, a French-Portuguese offshore company which has signed a contract with Orlen Neptun for the construction of a wind farm with 31 turbines. Tomorrow, the Polish parliament will hold a critical vote of confidence in Prime Minister Donald Tusk's coalition government. The vote comes in the wake of a narrow presidential election defeat by Tusk's ally, Rafał Trzaskowski, to right-wing candidate Karol Nawrocki, backed by the opposition Law and Justice Party. Tusk, seeking to reaffirm his government's mandate, called for the vote to demonstrate unity and resilience amid a shifting political landscape. The coalition holds a slim majority of 242 seats in the 460-seat parliament. A simple majority is needed to pass the vote, provided at least half of the MPs are present. The outcome could shape Poland's political future, with Nawrocki's presidency expected to challenge Tusk's pro-European agenda through potential vetoes. Should the government lose the vote, Tusk will be required to resign. France's far-right leader Marine Le Pen and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban lambasted the European Union in a series of attacks during a rally in France on Monday. The gathering brought together far-right, anti-immigration European leaders to mark the first anniversary of Le Pen's national rally victory in the 2024 EU elections. Viktor Orban boasted of having been able to push back migrants in his country, even if it meant incurring sanctions from Brussels. Le Pen told the several thousand delegates that the EU law was a graveyard of politically unfulfilled promises. The French politician was found guilty in March of embezzling 4 million euros of European Parliament funds to illicitly finance party activities. Following a deadly school stabbing, French Prime Minister François Bayrou has called for the installation of metal detectors at school entrances. On Tuesday, a student killed an assistant teacher using a knife in Nogent in eastern France.
Even though early trials were not entirely convincing, I believe that we must work on implementing metal detectors at school entrances. These systems were tested in certain regions of France. They weren't deployed everywhere. But I am convinced we can't simply remain passive as these incidents multiply. The government also intends to move toward experimenting with metal detectors at school entrances.
Woken by explosions, residents of Kyiv are now assessing the damage done to them and their property by an overnight Russian attack. According to residents of the Ukrainian capital, the attack shows what kind of neighbor Russia truly is.
I heard an explosion. First, the powerful one, then 3 less loud. There were 5 or 6 explosions altogether. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the air raid siren went off and the shaheds started coming one by one. There were a lot of hits. One hit accurately right into the apartment. As you can see, the apartment is gone. 3 to be precise. Those are the kind of neighbors we have. They're dogs.
This could be some sort of shrapnel. It's from the shahed that hit here. I'm a concierge in this building. I found this shrapnel while cleaning up. They are targeting civilians. They are fighting against us, against civilians. They don't fight in the open. Who are they killing? Children, women, and the elderly.
One of the buildings damaged during Tuesday's Russian drone attack on Kyiv is the St Sophia Cathedral in the historic city center. Described as the symbol of the presence of Orthodox Christianity in the region and lauded for its architecture, the cathedral is part of UNESCO's World Heritage List.
During last night's attack, the blast damaged eaves and plaster on the facade. It is the first time the St Sophia Cathedral has been damaged since the war broke out. Our security guards say that the drone sometimes almost touched the crosses on the bell tower, 76 meters above the ground. Right now, experts are inspecting our other buildings. The appropriate bodies will be involved to conduct relevant analyses. The cathedral is a very fragile structure. It is 1,000 years old. It is like an elderly person. It may look good, but it might suffer from structural issues.
And so this concludes our news service here on TVP World, but please do stay tuned. We're back in just a moment with more news and features, and we'll see you there.